Howdy, howdy, everybody. It looks like I am live, but we're not quite ready yet. We do need to fix a couple of things. Yeah, let's see here. So tonight, what we're going to attempt to do is get ready for a video that we're going to do on Thursday. We're going to try to do a live. We're going to talk about some magic Trick-or-Day Maze stuff. So I am participating in the Trick-or-Day May challenge. So I'm uploading a video every single day with a new trick. And we'll talk a little bit about that on Thursday, as well as going over a couple of other people and giving a shout out to some fantastic magicians also participating as well. So it looks like everything is almost good here. We're just kind of messing around on the computer for a second. Save that. Live practice plus magic theory. We're getting back into it to kind of see what everything looks like. So I'm on OBS and I can see where we're at here. But then when I switch over to YouTube, I'm trying to get a feel for. It looks like we're stuttering a lot. So if we do end up getting somebody on, we'll see whether or not there's a delay, whether we're just buffering, and see what we need to do to fix all of that. So I did normally I get. Well, let's see. I'll get myself on here. That's what I got my phone here for. I'm watching myself on the YouTube and seeing how long it takes. And it looks like I'm really staticky here. So let's go here. It's typically what we do. Try to get things in sync with each other. We're not quite as professional. Oh, I finally got the phone there. It's not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. So this might not work out. I have decent internet, but I'm far away from my access port. So let's see if it's telling me that I'm streaming. That'd be nice if it gave me a notification. It usually does after a while. Let's see. Nothing is showing here. Live. This is 3 months ago, so that's definitely not it. Just looking at some stuff here. Yeah, this is definitely a kind of just like a practice video to get prepared for the video that we're doing on Thursday. Oh, there I am. I am live. But let's take a look to see what it looks like. I got an ad for the friendly ghost. It's actually a mattress. I'm going to go ahead and like this, even though it's clearly not any good. Here we are, almost 5 minutes in, and nope, it's basically. I'm going to go ahead and like this, even though it's clearly not any good. Here we are, almost 5 minutes in. Well, that's not too bad. We're still at the about 10-second mark. Let's go ahead and do a count here. That's not too bad. We're still at the 10. Testing 1, 2, 3. Let's go ahead and do a count here. That's not too bad. We're still at the 10. Testing 1, 2, 3. About 20 seconds probably. About 20 seconds, probably. About 20 seconds, probably. Interesting, so it just keeps leaping through, because it'll keep hearing me say that, right? Interesting, so it just keeps leaping through, because it'll keep hearing me say that, right? Interesting, so it just keeps leaping through, because it'll keep hearing me say that, right? Interesting, so it just keeps leaping through, because it'll keep hearing me say that, right? Interesting, so it just keeps leaping through. Okay, sorry. What ADHD does for your brain. Anyway, I do apologize for that rabbit hole that we went down. But obviously we know that we're on there, and there's a lot of buffering, so I don't really know. Let's take a look at our internet here and see if there's anything that we can do. Besides moving the device or getting closer to it, that would be ideal, I'm guessing. Let's see. Oh yeah, we're getting 7, 8. Ooh, up to 8, 9. Ooh, a little bit of 9. Almost 10. 11. 11. 12. 12. Can I get 13? Oh no. Well, 13.4. My upload speed is not ideal. We're only looking at 4, maybe 5. Can I get 5? 4.5. So, considering my speed is normally 200, that's not ideal at all. My upload speed is 10. So, in terms of what we're doing, the chances of having a productive video, very, very minimal. But we are going to attempt, nonetheless, to do a little bit of a performance for you, and then to talk about some stuff. And if this video is completely unusable, let's go ahead and open our widget. It says open your widget. So let's see. $2,500. Okay. So let's take a look at that. We're gonna fix this. We're gonna fix this. Let's see. Settings. We got this, people. We can do it. We just have to believe. Let's see. There. Output. And apply. Did that do it? Nobody knows. Let's take a look over here. He's all frozen. He doesn't know what's going on. I've just changed it by, it was 15,000, so we've knocked it down considerably. Let's go ahead and look at our live video here. Knocked it down considerably. Let's go ahead and look at our live video here. That's pretty decent. That's pretty decent. I feel confident with that bit rate. Currently have one person watching, which is probably myself, but that's okay because, well, isn't that life? Yes. Let's see, viewer activity, analytics. We are a YouTube channel. We just have fun doing videos. We don't. I mean, if we have an audience, fantastic. We love anybody who shows up and puts comments in there, but we're here to have a good time. And if you guys have any suggestions for that, just let me know, because I'm here to provide funny moments. I mean, entertainment is one thing, but funny moments for the most part. So I'm on the page here where I can see my chat, so if anybody does join, I'll keep an eye on that. The first part of what I want to do, now that we're actually getting started here at 10 minutes, we're finally getting started. I Let's see if I just do this. We're gonna put video starts at 10 minutes. Smiley face. And is that smiley face? Grinning face with big eyes. Yeah, I'm going to do a grinning face. There we go. Enter. And technically, because it took me so long to actually write that out there, probably takes a little bit longer. But video starts at 10 minutes, everybody. Howdy, howdy, everybody out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to the channel. It has been so long. Here we are in the sunset capital of where I live, because that's in the background. But there's a couple of things that we do want to do. We want to do some painting in here. We do want to get this thing moved around and changed around. But we want to get our poster hung up from Magic Beyond Imagination. We went, my brother and I and my daughter, we went out and we watched Garrett Thomas, Cosmo, and Joe Maxwell. I almost forgot, but it was there. I could remember his last name, but not his first name. And we had a fantastic time. It was amazing. And I ended up getting one of the production posters. So I'm absolutely amazed. Absolutely in love that. Topsy-turvy. Anyway, first thing I want to do for you today is I want to actually perform my opener, which is just a nice little how do you do. So here we go. I did this in a video recently. And so I just kind of want to do that here without falling for you today. Let's switch over to OBS so that I can watch myself. Anyway, here's what we got. We're actually reversed because this is on my right side, but it looks like the left side here. There's probably a way to turn that, but anyway. So, first thing we want to do is we want to talk about this. So I do have a deck of playing cards here. And that's what I carry in my left pocket. And in that deck of playing cards, I actually do have a Sharpie. Put that right there. Now, in my right pocket, we have a separate deck of cards, because you never know when you're going to need two decks. And we also have a little bit of funny money. Yeah. So there we have some funny money. Now, down here, what we have is we have my coin pouch. Yeah, we have my coin pouch, which actually has, it looks like right here today we have 4 coins in there. And what else do we have in here? Oh yeah, we've got our Sharpie. Yeah, there's our Sharpie. We carry that one, but we carry it in 2 different places. That way, if we ever lose the other one, then we have that. And there you go. There is my opener. So what I have done is I've effectively set the stage, okay? Because that's one of the things we're going to talk about today is setting the tone, which was a sales tactic and technique that I learned in my years of sales. But we're going to apply it to Magic, okay? So here's what I have out here for you today is I have everything that I need to perform a routine. And we're going to go over each little piece here. We're not really going to talk about the magic because each of these things has so much stuff that you can do with it. So the jacket that I have here, I absolutely love this jacket. Shout out to Stitch Fix, just in case you ever want to sponsor me. 7 Diamonds is the brand. This is kind of a nice thing here because 7 Diamonds is my favorite card, so I'm going to look into more of that brand and potentially have a lot to, have that, because that's a nice little reveal as well. So I like that. Okay, so that's my opener, which basically includes a magic trick, obviously. Like, it's a marker production. Now, when you're watching it on camera, you're watching the video, you can look at it and say, well, it's that marker. But with the proper misdirection, when you're reaching in and you're getting something out of your pocket and I slip this into my hand, your focus is down here and I bring it out and I cross over and do this. And then I've moved on to this. So if you notice that this is gone, great. I mean, that's fine. That means you're perceptive. But in the moment, you might miss that, and then that provides a secondary production as well as an organic joke to really bring into the fold, like, same marker, keep it 2 different places, just in case I lose it. So it really, I laugh at my own jokes because I think they're funny. If you don't think they're funny, fine. Go ahead and comment down below and let me know. So what I have here is I have the marker, which there's a lot of things that you can do with it. You can do not only tricks with this, I also carry rubber bands on me, but that's not part of my opener. But you also have the ability to set yourself up with a really beautiful, mesmerizing, let's see if I can do it where you can see it over top of my tie there, and it'll actually go through the top and the bottom. So you got some rubber band tricks, but again, I've got the rubber bands I can do this with. I can do a vanish and make it appear. I can do something with coins, which is very nice. Got to practice it also with the table. It's not so good, but it disappeared. But if I uncap it, be careful, it is sharp, and I kind of just tap it against and then the coin appears. So I've just now done something by itself. I've done something with the rubber bands, and I've done something with the coins. So I've introduced a lot going on here. Now, you have a couple of different choices. There's a lot of jokes that go into it as well. You can write on your cards, especially if they're easy to get cards. You can write on your cards. It'll be fine, especially if you're learning tricks that require you to rip your cards. It's good too. So this is just an expendable, this is a tool that you really can't go without. Something to write with. What I would advocate for is possibly looking into maybe an invisible ink Sharpie, because that could really do some really nice jokes as well, or work with your style, or just allow you to do a lot of interesting things. So keep that in mind. Sharpie goes well with pretty much anything. Yeah. Now what I have here for the decks is I actually have, they look like the same deck, but they're different. Now I'm not going to go into detail as to why they're different. Depending on how many people I get watching this video, if I get 1 million people watching, if I get 1 million people, anyway, out of the 10 to 20 people that are watching this video, if it's more, then absolutely fantastic. I'll be totally amazed. Here, let me jump back over so I can see if anybody's actually, nothing has happened yet. It still shows 1 person watching, but I got 2 likes, so that's great. That's cool. But yeah, this deck is not a standard deck. It says standard, not standard. So just something to keep in mind. This deck has something to it. Now, if you know what that is, if you know what I mean, obviously, just by looking at it, you're probably not going to be able to tell exactly what the special thing about it is. But it is something special about this deck that allows me to do magic differently than the standard deck here. But I have both decks, and I purposely put them right out in front. Purposely put them right here on display, because I want you to know what I have, and I want you to know that either one of these are fine, something that I can do with. Now, I could start with this deck. You can really start with anything. You could start with this and just work your way around and just build different things that work with everything. You could start with this particular deck and do that special magic, and then transfer over to the standard deck, or vice versa. You can start with the what do you call it, rough and tumble, basically just setting stuff up and really getting into the nitty-gritty of it, and then ending with the smoothness that you could do. Everything that I can do with this deck, not everything, but most of the stuff I can do with this deck, I could probably do if I practice a little bit with the standard deck. Just have to do it differently. But what that does is it gives you this you have a choice, and that's what's really nice. Plus, by putting it out here, I take away the mystery of it. Like, oh, I don't have another deck. It's right here. I just switched to this deck. That's my particular style with this routine, because I've really put everything on the table. But I have it. But that's later. Okay, so I can go from doing some stuff, warm-up stuff with the markers. I can start with the coins. I can go with the cards, or with the money. Now, the thing with what I have here, again, we're not trying to get into spoilers for the tricks, because there's a lot of, like, if you watch a lot of my videos, there will be some of that stuff coming out, or you've already seen it. with the money, this particular trick is not just a trick. Keep that in mind. This is an idea, which most tricks are, and that idea can work with other things. For instance, I did have other money here, but I've used it, obviously. So let's say I have this right here, my funny money, right? This funny money is $1. Why is it funny money? Well, because I've already put it on the table, and I have it folded up here. So you know that I have a dollar bill here. Now, I could have this dollar, or I could have this dollar. Okay, when it's folded up like that, you're probably not going to really notice any difference. So what that means is, again, I have a choice between what I show and what I do. So I could show that, flip out to this, or vice versa. I could show this one, and then easily just, as quickly as that, change it out for the other one. But the idea that I'm getting at is this is kind of a path, right? But what if you chose a different path? And what if you asked somebody in the crowd, does anybody have a $5 bill I can borrow? Or a $10 bill? Or a $100 bill? Anybody willing to part with a Benjamin? Yeah. Okay. So, if you're comfortable with your crowd, if you've built rapport, maybe not at the beginning. Maybe you want to establish that rapport with some other stuff first. And then you can go into this where you take your dollar bill, and here's what it's going to look like. They already know that you have the dollar. Okay, so what you would need to do is establish some type of idea. Again, like I said, an idea where you're like, we're gonna do this. Okay, we're gonna leave my dollar on the table, and we're gonna take your money. Let's say they give you 100. I doubt it, but let's say somebody's like, here, go ahead, and you go ahead and do the routine. We've got, so imagine that this is the, you've seen it on my channel. Imagine that this is 100, okay, and then I fold it up, and I snap my fingers, and I say, wait a sec, because remember my dollar's on the table, and I open this up, and I say, what is well, that's my dollar. So does that mean, and then you can turn around like this, show the dollar, and you say, okay, that must mean that this is yours. And what that would kind of look like, again, I'm kind of being hypothetical, I don't have another dollar here to use, so you're still holding the dollar here, and then I have another dollar there, and I have their 100 or their dollar here. So all I'm going to do is, obviously having their dollar in my hand, I'm going to reach and say, this must be yours. And then all I have to do is just trade it out and do a switch. So that's an idea for you. So obviously I have two things here. We're talking about the routine and the ideas and how to introduce money. So that's how I do it. Now, the reason why I do it like that is because I can introduce $1 there, okay? But I have the one ahead principle. So I always have something hidden that I can switch out. I don't need to borrow money. I can quickly just say, so I have my dollar here on the table. Does anybody have a dollar that I can? That's okay. I'll just use mine, okay? And then I can switch it out for this one and do that routine. If people don't want to hand you money, there's so many different ways you can handle this, but that's fine. So there's money there, and I have different options. Again, I can use their money. I have other magic. There's other magic you can do. If you have an invisible ink marker, you can write something on it, or you can make the joke where you're writing on their dollar and you switch it out, but it's actually yours, and you give them back one, however you want to do it. Now, if you were to do a routine like this, where you were to put your magic on the table, so to speak, and be upfront with what you have, what this does is it also puts it out so you're not like reaching for it, so you can just grab stuff here, and that's fine. Now, you don't have to expose the dollar. You don't have to say, I got funny money. No, you can leave it right in your pocket. That's fine. You can just say, this is my money here. But let's say and then you want to have this as a secret. Fine. You could do that, and that would give you a couple more options. A lot more options. Or you can just have one of them sitting on the table, which then allows you, actually the nice one to have on the table would be the fake one, because then you can show them in your hand the real one, especially if you're borrowing money or doing anything like that. You could then easily do the switch, or even better, if you were to, say you go to reach for that one, and you just pull the box over top of it, and then now they believe that you have it in your hand, and then you have this ability where you can make it disappear from your hand and make it appear under the box. So again, I'm just giving you ideas about what you can do with the tabletop. Now, this routine is all tabletop stuff, and I really have to start focusing on some stand-up stuff that I can do walk around, because you can't really do all this on display. Now, what I've saved for last is I've saved coins for last. Now, the reason I have 4 in here, and what I said in the beginning there is I have 4 of them today, because you could just load 2 of them there. You can load 3 of them in there. You can load 4 of them in there. What you want to do is you want to establish, at least in my mind, you could do anything with 4 coins. So whatever you put on the table there is fine. Okay? But whatever you put on the table is a trick that you should probably do. You should probably do something with 4 coins. But here's the secret. The one ahead principle. I go into my pockets all day long. What if you want to start with this? What if you want to say something along the lines of, with 1 coin, I can make it disappear and reappear. Great. Okay. Now you're wondering, why don't I keep it in my pouch? Why do I keep it in my pouch and not have it in my pocket? Well, 1, it frees up pocket space, so that's good. 2, because pockets aren't really secure. There's a big opening in them, right? And you can go into like a corner pocket routine if you're familiar with that trick. And how that works is, to show you the secret, here at 27 minutes, bum bum bum, we have another coin in our pocket. Because we've already established that we have these coins, you could easily go into your routine, into your corner pocket with 1 of the coins from the table, and do your corner pocket routine, which leaves the coin in your pocket, but at the end, you leave it in your hand instead of ditching it. So now when you show off that you're back to here, without going near your pockets, after you finish that routine, you have a coin that is now in your hand and ready to go for when you go into your next trick. If you're doing 4 coins, you can pick them up and do something along the lines of making it go from one hand to the other, jumping like so, or making it come back. Obviously, you need to practice a little bit more of the hand stuff. Learning a lot of stuff from Rick Holcomb. That's a place to go for some coin stuff. So that gives you the 1 ahead. And now if you're doing, let's say you have this coin tucked away someplace else that you can use coin to impossible location. Great, they don't expect that. You're now doing 1 ahead with this one, and you're doing a 3 coin trick. And then you have another coin that you could have planted someplace else, giving you this really well-rounded setup. Okay? Perfect. So now, what's nice is that after you're done with each thing, you can put them back into your pocket. Hey, Mike and David. Fantastic to see you here. It's been a while since I've talked to Mike, so that's good. Talked to David last night. I'm not sure where you're coming in at. This is the weird part where there's a time delay. But at this point, you can actually put the coin, you can actually clip this back on at some point, and you can load it, or you can do any sort of thing with that, because this is something that you can do production. You can have, maybe you load it with your other coin. Any number of things that you want to do. You can load it at some point with another coin and then have a coin vanish at the end and reappear in there. Just saying, right? There's so much stuff that you can do, and that was my opening thing that I performed, and then I gave you a kind of step-by-step of what I want to do. I want to build this idea where I go from this to this to this to this to this, and I kind of just work my way around it, and I piecemeal everything together, maybe on the fly, but also just general ideas for things. So that's what we're doing there. But I want to talk about setting the tone, and I want to talk about the narrative, okay? Because these are 2 things that are important for when you're doing your magic. So setting the tone in terms of sales is TONE. Time, opportunity, need, and endorsement. This is something that's going to be absolutely phenomenal for you if you're doing videos or performing magic or pretty much anything, because it's a sales tactic. So, time. What we normally would use it for is to say the introduction of, you get 9 seconds to get somebody's attention. That's what I want to work on as my opening statement, right? The opening statement is, come along with me for about a 20-minute journey where I show you many magical things. Not great, not amazing, okay? But you're basically giving them a 20-minute. Maybe you have a 10, 15-minute set. Maybe you have 20 minutes. Hey, everybody. For the next 20 minutes, we're going to go on a magical journey, okay? Where you may be astounded and amazed. That's their opportunity, okay? The need part of that might be, maybe opportunity and need kind of go together. You might be able to play on their need, because I'll give you an example of what if you're selling a product, you say, hey, we got about 10 minutes. We can talk about, talk about what you have now and what exactly it is that you're looking for. Do you watch TV, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is that you might be selling. Anyway, I digress. Opportunity and need are maybe two different things here. When you're on the street or when you're performing or when you're talking to somebody, you want to figure out what they need based on what your product is, which in this case, performing magic is all about seeking that magical moment. So we're building a tone statement as we go here. We'll say, hey, come along with me for the next 20 minutes on this magical journey, and we may find the ever elusive magical moment. Would you like that? Something like that, because you have to add the endorsement, which the endorsement is ask for the sale. And in this case, don't forget to like and subscribe and to click all the buttons below, okay? Because that's what we're doing. That's the endorsement. That's your call to action, okay? And for what we're doing right now, we're doing a magic video where we're talking about intermediate magic skills and building performances. So just giving you this idea, so feel free to like the video, and here we go. So setting the tone, you're asking for the endorsement of saying, what do you think about that? Maybe not great. I'm still working on maximum entertainment. So I'm taking my sales knowledge that I have over 2 to 4 years in sales in general. I only, different sales, but also looking at this for performance specifically for from Mr. Weber, Ken Weber. Fantastic book if you want to perform. So, a couple of other things to consider. I think a sidebar for right now is, since I have somebody watching, I'll wait for the delay here. Is anybody currently watching? So if anybody's watching, I did like a kind of a count to 20 there, and nobody said anything. So if they are watching, they might be watching earlier in the video. So when they get to that point, then they'll comment, but they'll be a little bit behind. So what I'm looking for Thursday is I want to have a clean communication. What I might actually do is go back to the phone here. Brief intermission. You can take a pause break if you need to. Count to 20 there, and nobody said anything. So we're going to hear that again show up on the thing, but that's fine. So my voice is good. I do have a mic that I can use if I so choose. It's actually sitting somewhere. It was right here. Anyway, so back to setting the tone, because everything does sound fine down there. So setting the tone, your time, opportunity, need, and endorsement. Don't forget to ask for the sale. Don't forget to ask, hey, like Jason Marr would say, hey, look at me, I'm doing something interesting or whatnot. You just yell at people, because on the street you got to get people's attention. You got to be like, hey, da 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 da, make noise, do whatever you need to do to get their attention. And then so in the book I'll use an example for one of the things. It says, don't ask them if they want to see another trick, because chances are they probably want to see another trick. So you just perform. Do your routine, do whatever it is you're doing, and that's fine. So set the tone. Don't forget to ask for the endorsement. Don't forget to ask for the sale. Don't forget to include your audience in what you do. But don't overdo it, because if you give them too much control of what you're doing, then you're going to lose out on the experience, because you are the mystical genie. You are the sorcerer supreme, if you will, of this little world. So stay in control, and only give them control for if it's necessary to give them control. So for instance, like if I asked anybody was here, I asked that question for some feedback so I can make this platform and make this video better. So that's what we do. Now what we're going to do, the last thing we're going to do, because we're coming up on 35 minutes here, is we're going to go into a section for the narrative, because we want to talk about setting up the narrative. So your voice must have power. I don't know. Just emphasis to a different syllable. I kind of laughed a little bit in my throat there. Let's see. How to be funny. I could use my talk show voice, if that's what that is. A little bit of body there. Wearing my tie today. It's close-up magic, lighting, music. This book is... I jump around at this point. Got through, well, most of it, but just kind of thinking silent acts, unnecessary movement, dealing with spectators before the show. There was a section on narrative. Where was it? Let's see. I just read it last night and I've already lost it here. Search for entertainment, hierarchy of mystery. Scripting and rehearsing. Choosing material. Your voice. And just back to that again. You gotta get the words right. That's what it says. Anyway, I can't seem to find the location. Yeah, it was here. I can't seem to find it at the moment. But I do want to talk about things out of that book from time to time. And as far as setting the narrative, the idea is, let's talk about, and I've talked about this with coins before. So, for instance, there's a trick. I don't really want to go into a lot of details with it, but the idea of the trick is that each coin, like, okay, let's use Three Little Pigs is a good idea. So Three Little Pigs is actually a really beautiful metaphor for how a magic show can go, right? Because let's say pig number 1, pig number 2, pig number 3, right? So the idea is that these 3 little pigs, they go out and they're building their houses, and the big bad wolf comes along, right? So no, the big bad wolf is not a heckler. Big bad wolf is the show itself, is the force in which you compete against, right? So the first little pig, and I'll just do a little snippet here. The first little pig is he builds his house out of straw, right? And he quickly just gets blown away. Just blown away. Completely blown away. Gone, right? But then he reappears. That's the idea for that one. The next one is... just grabbing something over here real quick to set up for the next one here. Okay, so the next one is a... yeah, I'm not even really thinking straight here. So the next one is this guy. And he didn't even do that right at all. So here he is on the table, and he just disappears and comes through the table. So this guy can go invisible, this guy can go through objects, and then this guy's actually quite interesting, really, because this guy, he does something a little bit different altogether, right? So what this guy does is he actually changes altogether into something else. So that's not really where I want to go with that particular trick, but that's the trick that I do want to learn. If you want to learn it in better detail, go check out Rick Holcomb and learn the full set, which I am in the process of learning. I have the idea down, and I have some of the moves down, but anyway, Three Little Pigs. So it builds to the climax where you finally, like, you introduce the first idea and you come back down. Introduce the second idea and come back down. And then the third idea is just massive, boom, overwhelming. You've finally succeeded in the climax at the end. So that's your narrative. There are little narratives, like for each trick that you do, whether you start with the marker, even if you go with the idea that it's going to vanish and then return, the basic premise is it disappears and comes back. It's a very short narrative. It disappears and then reappears, right? So it vanishes and, unvanishes. New word for you. Same thing with if you add the rubber band. It's going to phase through something, right? Each little story has a little narrative and a little piece. Now, each thing that you do can have a connection of some sort. So let's say you just say, I'm going to warm up the fingers a little bit just by getting this started, and then you've already got your coin ready. And so when you pop this off of here and you just say, careful with that, it's sharp, and you tap that there, and then the coin appears, and you recap, and now you can put the marker away or put it back down here, and now you're ready to go with your coin. So you can, and then obviously your coin can just get smaller, and it's gone. But of course it appears over here in this hand. Obviously playing that out over and over again is going to get boring, but you get the idea. So going from this, which the marker disappeared and then reappeared, and then the coin appeared from the cap, even though the marker just disappeared, and then the coin can disappear and then reappear, and you're building. You can even do a routine with the marker and the coin where they go back and forth. There's lots of stuff that you can do here. Lots and lots of stuff. And then when you get into the card magic, the whole story unfolds. The whole story. With each individual trick, unless you just want to do little slight stuff, you could sit on cards all day, but you only got a certain number of time. I think what you'll find, and this is something that I've come across in some ways, is that once you get, say, 5 tricks with this, 5 tricks with this, and then these are cards, but again, like I said, this is a special thing that it does, and then this is standard, so maybe do 5 with this one, or do a routine with this one, a routine with this one, and then you got your funny money, have a couple of options that you can play around with on the fly, and just kind of say, you know what, you look like a guy who's got some money, just say, hey, can I borrow some money from you? Whatever it is that you want to do with that, just kind of utilize that and just go into it and have fun with it and set the narrative to climb towards this big thing, right? Because, again, like I said, you can do cards and coins all day. You probably could come up with routines with rubber band and the marker for 10 minutes. But overall, what you want to do is you want to build to like a crescendo, in music. You want to have this, and then you want to kind of level out and final out and complete your narrative with a definitive end with a small cliffhanger to basically, get them to come for more. So one way that you could do that is obviously, and don't forget at the end to ask for the endorsement, whether you have your hat down, whether you have your social media down, or whether or not you're, if you're at a birthday party and you're like, hey, don't forget, that's why the old saying, but don't say this, is I'll be here all week. You could say, I'll be here every other Thursday, or I'll be here every second Tuesday of last week, or whatever. Just say silly stuff, but keep it rolling, whatever you want to say that's funny, but just let them know that you are available if you wish to perform for them, and give them the resources that they need to reach out to you, and have a good time with it. And just do little silly things. Unless you're a serious magician, then do serious things. But I'm all over the place because exactly. So we talked about my little opener and giving you an idea if you wanted to build something for yourself, how you would go about it. Again, this is a very nice, it's not really even a sit-down routine. This is a stand-up routine, something that I could do on the street where I just get everything out here. And then as I'm done with it, I can put it right back in my pocket, or if I have a stand or something, I can put it away as I move on to the next thing. I still have room where I can add rope. I can add cups and balls. You know, this is really just a very simplistic opener for what I carry in my pocket, because there's a lot of people these days, you know, David for one, he is into bushcraft and stuff like that, so he likes EDC, everyday carry items. So as a magician, if I were to come out there and I were to say, anybody hunt or anybody trap, or, well, maybe those are a little bit specific, but not specific enough, if that makes sense. Anybody have a hobby? You know, my hobby is, you know, magic, obviously. So why don't we take a look at my everyday carry for magic? Or, hey, do you have something you carry every day? What do you got there? Let me take a look, and just have conversations with people, and then say, well, this is what I've got, and this is what I do. This is what everything does. Because if you ask my brother, if you ask him, hey, what does this do? What does this do? Well, this flashlight does this, and it does that, and I can activate it this way, and it has 5 different settings, or whatnot. You know, I have a fishing line, or I have a compass, or I have a little container that contains cotton, all this stuff, right? Each and everything is important to the craft, because that's what it is. So same thing with this, where I'm kind of giving you a demonstration, but at the same time I'm, you know, knocking your socks off, or wowing your wowzers eye. Yes, so this was absolutely fantastic. We did have a little bit of hiccups. We didn't really start the video until 10 minutes, and we had a brief intermission there. So I'm going to call it about a half an hour video. There's Mike Wright. Sorry, I had to download the app. Well, you're here now, and that's what matters. I'm not sure where you are in the video. If you're here now, just give me a how do you do? Or just say hi. I don't know. Usually it's about a 20 second delay between where I am and where the thing is, which if I take a look, I think that's where I'm at, about right there. So looking at the phone, because I have it up here, so I can see that as well. There he is. There he is. How? Yes, he is here. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, so that's pretty much what I have for my presentation today. Thank you for coming to this not TED Talk, because I'm not TED. But yeah, we will be coming back here on Thursday. We want to do a live, because there is a challenge that magicians do in May called Trick-A-Day May, and we do a video every single day with us uploading a trick. And what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to go over my past videos from last year, because last year was the first year I participated, and I'm going to go through some of the videos from this year, and I will compare and contrast. I can go through every single video. That could take a while. Last year I don't think I did minute videos. This year I did. Maybe I did minute videos. I'm not sure. David's phone died. Yes. I have mine plugged in. I have my phone plugged in. Because it dies too. But then I also want to do shout outs for other magicians that are also performing Trick-A-Day May, just to share the love. So yeah, I'm at almost 50 minutes here on my account. Thanks for joining me. I have 3 likes, and I liked it, maybe David liked it, and then maybe Mike liked it, so there's 3 likes there. So that's great reviews, considering I normally don't have, well, I usually get like 1 person on or so. It's so rare that I do a live that I forget what I'm doing. Now I'm just kind of watching my little guy over here in the corner. I see myself talking with my hands a lot, doing all sorts of crazy stuff. I'll just correct my coin. Okay, no, I'm kidding. But yeah, so I really didn't have anything else planned. What I talked about today, obviously, is my opening routine as well as my plan for how I want to set up my routine. I talked about setting the tone for whether you're doing a performance, whether you're doing magic, whether you're doing sales, whether you're doing pretty much any conversation in life. You kind of want to bring value to the table. So tone is time, opportunity, need, and endorsement. So if you're going to take up somebody's time, you just say, hey, look, it's going to take about 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is it's going to take. How do they value, what are they going to get out of it? What's the opportunity that they're going to get? You know, they obviously, if you're performing for them, they're going to have an opportunity to, you know, be entertained. And why do they need that? Well, because the world is well, the world's always been the world, but we live in this current time period, so we have to consider the contemporary and try to, share some joy with the world. That might be a little too dark for the, the corner, but that's depends on what corner you're on, I guess. And obviously, the endorsement is maybe if you're just having a friendly conversation with them, you're not going to be like, well, anyway, that's going to be $15. That just doesn't really make sense. I have 2 viewers right now. Is that me and Mike? I don't know. If anybody else is watching, go ahead and click. We're kind of doing commentary here at the end. If Mike, if you're on, you want to ask questions, if you want to just chat, I'll be talking and I'll read your thing there. I do also have the ability at some point, on some platforms I would be able to do it right away. Like Instagram, I believe I would be able to actually bring somebody in. I don't really have the capability set up on this. I don't believe to do it to make to bring somebody in. I don't know if YouTube offers that, but I think I have an app that lets me do it. Perform on Saturday. Well, I know that's coming from David. Well, obviously Mike could have said it, but he did say it. But I know David was the one that told me that I should do that. I have 4 likes on the board. This is amazing. I'm getting the numbers up there. Maybe they mistook it for the dislike button. They kind of look the same. Depends on what state of mind you're in. So it just depends, Yeah. If you're upside down, if you're like hanging upside down and you see and you're just watching your phone, like how some kids will be on the couch with their head on the floor and they're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna click the thumbs up button here. I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling here at this point. So performing Saturday probably will not happen. I'll just point that out to you. I will have stuff with me, obviously, and I do want to at least make the attempt to bring magic to the people, if that is something that I can do. I do have a birthday party to go to at 1 o'clock. We are going to try to go out, but I mean, we'll just be walking around. I mean, it'd be great if I actually could set up a stand and then perform, make money, and go buy stuff. That's what I did back in the old days. I would find some stuff I could sell, make a little bit of money, and then I would go yard selling myself. That's the classic, that's what everybody does, I guess. So yeah, I'm down to 3 viewers. I lost one of them. Not sure who popped in and left, but they must have liked the video, so that's a plus. So the idea is, if I were to perform, just going off from the last thing that was said here, if I were to perform, I was looking into getting a table, something pretty simple that I could just kind of set up. I have the one table here, but I don't feel like it's more of a podium type of setup, so it might be problematic. But I could easily, prepare. I guess the idea would be to prepare like a 20-minute segment where I go through all the stuff and I know it very well, and then I can kind of just play around with the idea of it. And what I have here, obviously, 2 of these will probably be out of sight. So I have, just with what I'm looking at with coin stuff, I'm just trying to think of how much stuff I have. So I know I have single coin stuff that I could put together. I have the corner pocket routine. And then if I learned the routine that I talked about in the video with the 3 coins, like the 3 little pig idea, where they all do something different, I would hope that I could probably get 5 to 10 minutes out of it with coins, which is half of the overall routine. So I probably wouldn't even need 10 minutes. So what I would do is set up 20 minutes, roughly, could be a little less, a little more, and then I would cycle through that. So I would perform it, reset, and then I could perform it again, maybe a little bit differently, depending on who's there. Now, 20 minutes when you're out there on the street performing could turn into 25 minutes or half an hour with the downtime, and give yourself a chance to cycle through the people and maybe perform it again, maybe a little bit differently. Now, if I were going to do that and perform on the street like that, I'd probably want to have some cuffs and balls to really, be a street performer in that regard. But with coins, let's be conservative and say 5 minutes is probably solid where I would be with those 3 tricks. So if I did 3 tricks, solidly in the realm of coins, 5 minutes. The card tricks that I had set up, I actually had some extra stuff set aside that I could have in my pocket that would allow me, excuse me, would allow me to actually perform extra stuff. Now, I had the 7 of diamonds aside because it's my favorite card, but I also have 7 of diamonds on my jacket, as I showed in the beginning of the video. So I could do a really cool reveal with a 7 of diamonds. And the thing with the marker is that if I'm going to include the marker, I've got to write on something. So I have my extra card sitting here, and I could write on that extra card and do a card to impossible location. And then this would be what we talked about. There's a trick that I do with mini cards, and then I have the same card set aside for that, which would allow me to potentially have, again, impossible card to location a little bit different in that regard. So it gives me options that I don't really have to play around with. Do I want to carry all that? No, but I do have extra stuff in my pockets that I can utilize. If I'm not wearing my jacket, which on the street I probably wouldn't be suit and tie, just saying, then I wouldn't have as many pockets to carry stuff, so I'd have to be a little bit more, and I wouldn't be able to hide stuff by all that stuff. So anyway, 5 minutes here with coins, 5 minutes with cards, so that's 10 minutes there. Probably have to add a little bit here and there. If I were to do the marker routine, my opening routine, I condense it for the purpose of the video. When I did the video the other day, I had to condense into a minute. So theoretically, if I took breaks and pauses and I talked a little bit more as I did that, I could probably get that to a minute and a half, 2 minutes by adding a couple of elements and kind of just really retweaking it. I could do 2 minutes right there. So I'm already at with a little bit of that downtime for the other tricks. I might be looking at somewhere around 15 minutes with that stuff, and then if I add the money magic, there's a lot of opportunity there to communicate with the audience and to really build that effect with that. So the money magic, I'd have to do a little bit more, because I would want to figure out how I could do it with both this and with somebody else's, which basically how that might look, just to kind of talk about it, is potentially taking somebody's dollar, do the reverse pickpocket. There is actually, I missed the opportunity to buy it. There was the Black Ops watch that I wanted to buy. That is a what's the word? I don't remember the word. Basically, it's for coin magic, and one of the tricks that came with it was just that, a reverse pickpocket trick. It was on sale for, I think it was like $20, and I missed the opportunity to get it. So my bad, but the watch and the trick itself. So there is a trick that allows you to, it's an impossible object to location, or it's object to impossible location is what I meant to say. So you can theoretically hide it on their person without them knowing. So there's that idea. So if I were to get somebody's money, like I talked about earlier, just going through some ideas, have something on the table, turn their dollar into this dollar, then figure out how to exchange it and get their thing, so that, let me say it more clearly, I turn their money, which would be something larger than a $1 bill, I turn it into a dollar bill, and I say, well, there we go, we got a dollar bill, here you go, it's a souvenir for you. And they're going to be like, no, I want my money back. So you're like, well, no refund, sorry, whatever. But they're like, okay, here we go, we'll go ahead and get your money back. And at some point, whether I just move the box and do a switch, I drop their money on the table, I turn my dollar that I turn, turn it into the fake dollar. And so I'm like, well, that's what happens when you don't cut corners, which is my joke with that particular dollar, or make up some other joke, because now I've turned their money, the dollar, into an unusable dollar, and now they're really going to be like, okay, well, let me go ahead and let me try that one more time, and then that's how I make it just disappear altogether, and just say, how about this? Why don't we do this? And then you draw their attention to the table. So that's a full routine with that, because you got their money, turned it into a dollar, made some jokes, turned it into a fake dollar, and then made it disappear altogether, and then boom, it's already on the table. So build that up into like a 2 minute, 1 minute, 2 minute routine, and easily just get to about 20 minutes between all of that. Do the opener. Reveal for everything here. Maybe start off by loosening things up with do some rubber band with marker, then introduce some coin work into it, then put this away, do a coin routine, then you can put your coins away, go into your card routine and really take a second to just kind of slow down and enjoy the card magic, and then put those away, and then now finish up with some money where you, like you said, do a reverse pickpocket. We're coming up with ideas based on what you're saying. So you say do reverse pickpocket. So basically you could, instead of putting their bill back down here, you make the other bill disappear, and then you say, okay, well, it was a good show or whatever, and you give it back to them somehow. Or you have other money on hand that you give back to them, I guess, is a way to say it. I don't know how I'd have to think about it in that regard, but I could potentially try to put a bill back into their pocket as I'm getting theirs. I'm not really that good, especially with everybody watching, but especially if they're not wearing anything like a jacket or anything. So maybe reverse pickpocket wouldn't work. The one that I did see was inside somebody's hat. So you could potentially get somebody's hat. How would that work? Plus, you wouldn't even know what kind of bill they would have. And if I specifically said, I need a $5 bill, that might be a little strange. Because if I loaded somebody's hat with a $5 bill earlier in the routine, and then I come back to it and say, how about, what if we made your money disappear, but this was a great show, so we'll just consider it services paid in full, right? Or whatever. But if you really want your money back, then all we need is a standing ovation where we take our hats off, and if it's the same guy, he takes his hat off and his money is in his hat. So in terms of constructing a trick, that's how you would do it. You would say, where do I want it to end up? And then how do I get there? Because I would have had to plant that dollar back like towards the beginning. So I could pick somebody out who has a hat, first off, and then I could say, hey, I'm a hat guy too. See what I got here? I wear some trilbies. I got my flat cap. Every once in a while I wear my ball cap. What do you got there? What do you? Oh, let me take a look at that. And then you, boom, loaded. There you go. Puts it back on, and then now you're ready to go. Could it fly out? Probably, especially if the hat that they have, again, like really hone in on somebody who has a brim. It doesn't have to be like a fancy hat. It could, because some ball caps are sewed all the way around, so they don't have the flap. So you'd really want one that has the flap that you can tuck it in, and really be careful with that. So that's kind of how I would probably do it. And then that way, you'd really have to keep an eye on that guy, because if he left, well, then he's going to magically have $5 in his hat later on. But it's a different trick. But so that's my thoughts on that. And end with that, because that would be kind of impressive to go through the whole routine. I didn't touch the guy's hat until, maybe when I was doing coin stuff, or even at the beginning before the show. But then you'd have to do that every time. So then it becomes like this track down somebody with a hat routine that could get a little bit out of, not terrible, especially once you get used to it. Then you might lose money that way, because that person might leave before the end. But who knows? Things can happen. So potentially doing that could have risk, but no risk, no reward. So I think that would be a great concept, and really something to work up to, is just say, hey, here we are, it's yard sale day, but like, yeah, we're only carrying 5s and 10s, right? Nobody's got 100s out here. So just kind of maybe narrow it down to what they might have, and then do it that way. If I were going to do a reverse pickpocket idea, that's how I would do it, is just do money to a possible location. Because now what happens, and this might, obviously if it's that person that I got their $5, they got my $5, it's even. So I can walk away clean, and I'm fine. The problem is obviously we'll have to see if I ever do enact that idea, how much money I lose over the course of performing that trick. If I'm not able to build the crowd and keep them entertained, then I could potentially really lose out. Whew. We're now almost at a minute and 10 minutes. I can really, really ramble on, but I have... Oh, there you are. I've been looking for this. Notepad. Okay. So my opener, just is the presentation of what I supposedly have in my pockets, as well as a marker production. That's my opener. I know that takes at least 1 minute, because that's what I did in my video, and that's like, that was I wouldn't say rushed, but that was a comfortable level. But I did have more that I wanted to do with it, which, yeah. It's somewhere around here, unless I left it in my pocket. So I did have something else here that I did have that I wanted to add to that video, that I probably would use. Oh, here it is, right here. So this is a prop that I personally love, and I probably would just have it on me just in case. So that's something that's great. So that's definitely a card, a card finish in and of itself. So beautiful. And that's something that I wouldn't show as part of my show and tell. So then I can do a rubber band plus marker warm-up. Leading into marker plus coin routine, and then just do coin. and then kind of call it a stop there. Maybe even been talking a lot without drinking anything. Maybe finish up with introducing the coins and then slowly making the coins disappear until you have one left, which gets sucked up into the marker somehow. So now you're left with the marker in your hand, and then I can kind of just like click the marker on here and say, hey, why don't we go ahead and do a card trick, and we'll say card 1 because we'll be talking about one deck. And this is just a basic idea. I can switch it around and move it around. But then I'd have the marker ready to have somebody sign a card if I wanted to go that route. Do card 1. And now the question is, would I want to go from card 1 right into card 2? Because in this case, I always have them back to back, which doesn't really make sense because I really want to focus on the card magic. I don't even need both decks. In reality, a way that would really work is with another special deck that I have over here, that if I had both decks on the table, it would actually work out great, because I'd say, hey, go ahead and pick a deck. And I'd be like, here you go. And I'd always hand them this deck no matter what no matter what they said. Then I'd have this one. And then I'd say, go ahead and take a card out of the deck, flip it over, and I'll do the same for this deck. And that would be the whole setup. And then once I'm done with that, I could put this deck away and then just focus on this deck. So technically that could work if I did card. Could have said deck 1 and 2, but I put card 1 and card 2 for using each deck as part of a trick, and then just going into we'll say deck number 2 is the special deck. And then just go card 1 for some card magic, which is fine, depending on how long I utilize that for. And then if I do some money magic. For my finish. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things. And the opener, if if we're talking 1 to 2 minutes for that, if we're talking 1 to 2 minutes for the rubber band and marker warm-up, and then we're doing marker and coin, let's just guessing 1 minute for that, 5 minutes for the coin magic, 5 minutes for the card tricks, and then, well, let's say marker and coin is 1 to 2 minutes as well, just to give us some leeway there. And these numbers are arbitrary because it really just depends on the crowd and how things go. Let's see. Card 1, and so using both of them together, I'm not really sure how long it would actually take to perform that, because if I give I have them do the selection, have them do the mix-up, have them, do the card, whatever, and then I do it, and yeah, I probably could do 1 to 2 minutes for that particular trick if it'd probably be about a minute. Could make it go longer. And then money magic, which that whole idea for that routine, bringing in the jokes, letting things settle, I would say 1 to 2 minutes for that as well. But again, these are just ideas for numbers. So we're looking at 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. No, that's not right. Miscounted. 15 minutes for our low end. And then for our high end, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10 and 10 is 20. So 15 to 20 minutes for just the basic idea for putting together these ideas. Now, in order to really figure out what these numbers would require, is I'd have to personally, go through some other pages here and do a page for my opener and really talk about that and how long that's actually going to take, and write that down and perform it, and then do the same thing with all of them to really get a good idea for what number I have here. So I think that's going to be my homework assignment. We're actually going to go through and we're going to figure out every single trick I would perform given this model, and on Thursday we'll see how that goes. We'll have that prepared. So I have done a lot of talking for an hour and 15 minutes. Thank you, Mike and David, for joining me, and whoever else stopped by briefly. That it said I had multiple people here. I've got looks like the Magic guys are doing a live. I love, yeah, YouTube finally said, oh, you're live. Did you know that? Nope. So yes, thank you for joining me. And remember, because I'm going to do my sign off. Here we go. Remember, always remember, stay positive, stay active, and stay awesome. And we'll see you in the next one.